What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Acer Studio. It's been a long time in Capture One. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content we post, kindly subscribe. And I want to thank you for everyone that has been supporting the channel one way or the other. Alright, so let's dive right into the tutorial. In today's tutorial is going to be just retouching tutorial, how we're going to make the image come out, pop out the more. So I'm just going to correct a few things in the image. So let's zoom closely. The first thing first is we're going to be unifying our skin, and our skin color. And also, if you check our hands and the face, it's actually not the same. So we're going to be correcting the exposure of our hand and that of our face, and working on the background also. And we can do some little color grading. All right, so that's going to be all about this retouching tutorial. So the first things first, let's open up the layer panel, and this is Capture One 23, and you can see the rest part of the editing panel when you click on this button. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new layer, and this time around I'm going to create a new fill adjustment layer. And just to explain what that means, it means it's going to create a mask that is actually going to cover every area of the photo. Now what I want to do is to get the white balance of that image. So I'm going to go where there is white balance, and if you can't see a white balance on this panel, it's actually going to be on the exposure if you are using Capture One version 22. Okay, so but this Capture One version 23 is actually having all the edits in one side. All right, so now I'm going to pick up this eyedropper tool, and I'm going to select where it's supposed to be white. In this case, our eyes. I'm just going to select that place, and you can see that just selecting that side has actually corrected the way the image is. So that adjustment is going to be just for the white balance, and we can turn on the exposure warning, and we can see that we are pretty good with the exposure. It's not too exposed. Alright, so now I'm going to create another adjustment layer, and this time around is a new empty adjustment layer, and I'm going to use the magic brush tool. And what the magic brush tool does, it is select an area that are the same. So I'm going to select the magic brush tool, and I'm going to left click and go around the place I want to select, which is the background, and wait for Capture One to select the background. And since Capture One, I've captured the background, and I hit M, so you can see I'm going to select some parts also that are not selected, and some part of our hair right there. And okay, so we're good. And if you want to see the properties of the brush, just right click and you can refine edge and do whatever you want to do. All right, so now let's go to the exposure and hit M on the keyboard to hide the mask. I'm going to zoom in, and then I'm going to decrease the brightness a bit and go to the high dynamic range. Let's decrease the white and decrease the highlight, and you can go ahead and decrease the exposure, not too much, and let's just balance it a little. And this is just because we want the subject to come out of the background, unlike before. If that's too much, we decrease the opacity a bit, and I think we are good with that range. But the background is actually helping the image to come alive, so I'm just going to decrease it a little bit more. Now let's work on the end. Now most of the time you are going to be using the magic brush tool, so let's create a new empty layer and select the end right here. So I'm going to select the end and wait for Capture One to make a selection of just that area. You can see that it's selected with, if I hit M on the keyboard. So now I'm going to correct that side with the face. So I think we just need some saturation there, so we can increase the saturation of the end, and I think that fixes it. So I'm gonna hold the shift and drag it down, and you can see we just increase the saturation, and it actually fixed the difference in the color. So now it's not like Photoshop that we can create a new stamp visible layer And as well, I can add this part to it if I like, and you can see that it's actually changing and blending with the face. Okay, so now we're going to make a full adjustment. So now create another empty layer, and with the brush, magic brush to selected, I'm going to select the face and wait for capture one to make a selection of the face. And I think part of the hair too is going to be selected. So let's see. Yeah, it was selected. So I'm also going to click on this and let's increase the refine edge so as to make selection of some places. I'm going to click on that side and it will be added. Click on this side, it will be added, and more of the color. And we can come here, click on our legs and click on this side. Alright, so now we can go to the color tab and work on it. Let me add this place to it. And okay, so now we can use the magic eraser tool, but I guess if we erase it, it's going to affect the one we selected on the face. So I'm just going to click on the eraser tool itself, increase the size of the brush, and I'm going to erase it from the hair area just because I don't want it to be part of the hair. I'm going to zoom out and zoom in. So let's erase it just a little bit from the hair, like so, and this side also. Okay, so we can manage that for the now, and let's continue. So hit M on the keyboard to hide. I'm going to go to the color tab. The color tab is right below, which is the color editor, and on that skin tone I'm going to pick the eyedropper tool, and I want to select where I want the skin tone to look like. So I think it's actually looking natural on the nose. Let's pick somewhere around here and get the average. So that's the average of everything. I'm gonna pick somewhere here, so we are good. That's the average. I'm gonna increase it and unify the skin tone. So go to the uniformity tab, increase the uniformity, and check what happens to the skin. As we keep increasing the uniformity, it keeps blending the colors together, and we can increase the saturation also, the uniformity of the saturation, and it's going to make the whole skin look uniform. So you can take it and make it look natural if you don't take it towards the whole hand. Alright, so now I'm going to drop this back a little to make things look natural. And if you want to increase the lightness, but in this case I'm going to leave it like that. But you can see the changes it's made. So let me see before and after. And if you want a little bit of that blushing, the red, you can actually leave it, but this time around I want to get rid of that and I want to unify everything together so you can actually see a before and after. Alright, so now I'm going to go to the U and I'll take it forward to get some more yellows, and if you take it backward it's going to give it some red, but I don't want that no red feel. I want the yellow feel like this, and you can increase the saturation also to make things look interesting, just like that, and taking it to the top makes things look awesome. Okay, so now I'm gonna leave it right there, and let's take it back a little. Okay, so now that's good. I can go back to where the hand setting is, and make a selection also from this one. I can make a selection of the face and increase the uniformity, and also increase the saturation, and increase the saturation of that till we get the same with that. So that's looking okay for me. I'm going to create another one layer, empty layer, and this time around it's for the lips. So you can actually rename, but I made a mistake not renaming it. So I can start with this one though, lips. Hit enter. So take the selection tool and let's select the lips, and capture one is going to select, make a selection of the lips. Hit M on the keyboard and you see it's actually selected. So hit M back, and what we're going to do, we're going to increase the saturation of that, but let's increase the uniformity. I want it looking like this one. Yeah, that type of color. So increase the hue, and it's going to make it look the same. You can make the saturation also the same, and increase the saturation and the hue towards the red. I'll take it backwards like that, and we can go to the tab, the exposure tab, and we can increase the saturation, and boom, so we can see the before and after. So let's zoom out so it matches the image, so you can see before, turn it off, and after. All right, so that's looking okay. Now I'm going to create another layer, another fill layer. So this is just to improve. I want to make a selection of the subject only. So let's select the subject. I'm going to hover around all our body to make a selection of the subject. So the selection was everywhere, and I'm going to take the magic tool and I'm going to erase it from the background. So that's going to erase it from the background. And let's remove more. And the side. Okay, so now that we have a selection of the background, we can also remove the black since we want to make adjustment of the highlight. Let's just leave it M and N. That's the selection. Now let's go to the eye dynamic range and let's zoom in a little bit and take the picture downwards. Okay, so I want to increase the highlight, and they gave us an exposure warning, so let's drag it back down a little to where we can see that, and let's see we're having. Okay, so we can actually erase that from the mask or though. So let's see. I think that's looking good. I can take the mask, the brush tool, and erase it from the end, so we don't have any exposure. And let's see, increase the blacks just a bit. Let's use the shadow instead, so increasing the shadow. All right, so now we are actually good with the edit. Now we can create another adjustment layer, new adjustment, fill adjustment layer, and I want to increase the saturation of that to make things look more interesting. So, but let's make a selection of the eyes, of the eyeball, turn off the exposure warning, and we're good. We can make selection of the eyeball with another layer, empty layer, and use the magic brush tool to select the eyes. Hit M on the keyboard to see the selection, and also this side select. Let's undo that and make more selection of it. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm going to hit M on the keyboard, and this time around we can increase the white, the highlight of it to make the eyes brighter. We can also increase the saturation a little bit, and it's just going to make the eye pop out the more. Okay, so if you actually want to increase the highlight of the image, you can select just places that has the highlight. So something like this, create a new empty layer and then just select just the highlight, and let's see, it's just going to reduce the selection to where the highlights are. You can see that that's where the highlight is, and we can make more selection of the highlight from the clothes, and there we can make this one, selection of this one, selection of this one, and this. Let's increase and right click and bring back the tolerance a bit. So let's add somewhere like this to it, and I pray. Okay, so that didn't go well. Let's pick somewhere here. Okay, so now that layer is for the highlights, so we can go ahead and increase the highlights of that, so you see what's actually going on. we can increase the highlights just a bit, and we can go to the luma range and remove it from the darker side. So I'm going to bring it forward a bit to narrow the effect in a place, and then we can check out our, let's click on apply. Yeah, it's actually loaded. Okay, so now that we have that, let's see if we have any blemishes to fix. Okay, so we have little blemishes to fix, and we can do that by creating a layer, the new hue layer, and creating the hue layer is going to automatically select the hue brush, and we can increase the brush a little and quickly fix some blemishes like that side. I'm going to click on it, and Capture is automatically going to select a place that we heal. You can see that, and let's look for more places that we can heal. So somewhere around our lips, we can just pick that place, and it's going to fix it for us. I can just do that. I'll just pause the video and quickly fix the healing. Alright, so now that we're done, we can actually create another new hue layer, and this time I'm going to use the clarity tab, and what I'm going to do is just to increase the structure. I like taking it up, and this just defines the image the more. So taking it up to that extent looks okay, and we can go to the vignette and add some amount of vignetting. So bringing it back a little, just to add some effect of that to it. Okay, so that's we're done. We can go to curve, and you can see what's happening on the curve. We can create an X curve to add contrast to it. So bring this place down and something like this, and we're through with the curves. Okay, so that effect is just on this layer. You can see before and after to give it more definition. Alright, so this is how I'm going to actually edit in Capture One, and you can go ahead on the refine, and you can add more sharpening or more noise reduction, and that's just how to edit in Capture One. So let's try and see our before and after, so you can see our before and after. Before and after looks amazing. Alright, so if you enjoyed the video, kindly subscribe. If you're new to the channel, like and share, and let me know what you think about the video in the comment section. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and this is Asa's Studio.